a secret meeting, a document that changes everything, and a decision so monumental. It has reportedly left Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, reeling in shock. We have just received explosive, unverified reports from within the palace walls that King Charles III is preparing to take a step no modern monarch has dared, an act that would formally and permanently alter the line of succession for his own grandchildren. This isn't about distant cousins. This is about Archie and Lilibet. The implications are staggering, the fallout unimaginable. If you're fascinated by the real, high-stakes battles for power and legacy happening inside the House of Windsor, you cannot afford to miss a single detail of what we're about to reveal. This is Royal Report 24/7. Stay with us. Subscribe now, hit that like button, and share this video immediately. What you are about to hear will reshape your understanding of the monarchy's future. Let's be very clear from the outset. Buckingham Palace has issued no official statement. What we are discussing are claims circulating among senior courtiers, royal biographers, and insiders with ties to both the Sussex and Wales camps. According to these reports, the king has initiated confidential, high-level discussions with his most trusted advisors and government officials. A source described as a senior palace aide told a respected royal commentator that the king believes the current situation is a recipe for a perpetual crisis. The vision of a slimmed-down monarchy is not just a preference for Charles. It is an ideological mission, a belief essential for the institution's survival in the 21st century. In his view, reports suggest that monarchy consists of the working, funded core, himself, the Prince and Princess of Wales, and their children. Everyone else, especially those pursuing independent commercial careers, should be, in his view, distinctly separate. The catalyst for this radical move, according to these unconfirmed reports, was not a single event, but a culmination. The launch of Sussex.com, boldly displaying their royal titles for commercial and philanthropic endeavors, is said to have been the final straw. To the palace old guard, this blurred the very line Charles is desperate to draw. It presented, in their view, a confusing, hybrid model that leveraged royal status without accepting royal constraints. But beyond the branding, sources point to a deeper, more painful trigger: the king's cancer diagnosis. Facing his own mortality has reportedly focused the monarch's mind intensely on legacy and stability. He is said to be determined to secure the monarchy's future for Prince William and for Prince George by eliminating what he perceives as a perpetual source of division and public spectacle. What would this actually mean? A new letters patent, issued under the sovereign's prerogative, could reportedly redefine the meaning of grandchildren of the monarch. It could stipulate that only the children and grandchildren of the heir apparent, not all grandchildren of the monarch, automatically receive princely titles and the full trappings of royal status. A punitive act that legally sanctions their children as less than their cousins. It would be seen as the ultimate rejection, not just of Harry and Meghan's choices, but of Archie and Lilibet themselves. Sources close to the couple suggest they view this as Charles choosing the institution over his own bloodline in the most definitive way possible, a betrayal that would make any future reconciliation impossible. But here is where the analysis becomes critical. Would the king do this? Could he? Historically, the sovereign has the power to issue such letters patent. It was done in 1917 to restrict titles, and again in 2012 to establish absolute primogeniture. However, the political and familial fallout would be unprecedented. Senior government ministers would have to be consulted. There would be a firestorm of public debate. It would be painted as a grandfather excluding his own grandchildren, a narrative so toxic it could backfire spectacularly on the monarchy's reputation. Some constitutional experts, speaking off the record, doubt he would take such a drastic, visible step. It exposes a king willing to consider the most severe tools to protect his legacy. And it reveals a schism within the family that is now being fought not with tabloid leaks, but with the instruments of state. The Prince of Wales's position in this is reportedly one of agonized conflict. Insiders suggest William supports the principle of a slimmed-down monarchy with every fiber of his being. It is the cornerstone of his own future reign. He does not want his children growing up in a system where their California cousins can pivot in and out of royal status for brand building. However, he is also, reportedly, deeply uncomfortable with the raw cruelty of the proposed method. He knows the world will see this as an attack on two innocent children, and that the wrath of his brother would be eternal and absolute. William is said to be urging caution, advocating for that private, negotiated solution rather than a constitutional sledgehammer. And what the other key player? The Princess of Wales. While Catherine is naturally insulated from these legal machinations, sources indicate her primary concern is the emotional impact on her own family. She fears the explosion of hurt and anger from across the Atlantic would create a media maelstrom that would engulf George, Charlotte, and Louis, dragging them into a toxic, generational feud just as they're trying to navigate a normal childhood under impossible circumstances. Her focus, as always, is on creating a stable, quiet harbor for her children, a harbor this decision would violently storm as we stand here now. According to our network of sources, we are in a moment of precarious pause. The legal drafts may exist in a locked drawer. The arguments are being rehearsed in private chambers. But the decision is hanging in the balance. The king is weighing dynasty against family, legacy against love, precedent against peace. This is more than a family disagreement. It is a constitutional and emotional earthquake waiting to happen. If these reports are true, King Charles is not just managing a crisis. He is considering an act that would formalize a permanent, legal partition within his own family. It would write the Sussex exit, not in tabloid headlines, but in the official record of the crown. It would tell a story to history of a breach so deep, the only solution was to change the rules. The coming weeks will be decisive. Watch for any sudden, unexplained meetings between senior palace aides and government ministers. Watch for a sudden silence from the Sussex camp, which often precedes a major statement. Watch for the body language of the king and the Prince of Wales at their next joint engagement. The distance between them, the weight in their eyes point one thing is certain. The idea of a half-in, half-out existence, the source of all this conflict, is nearing its end point. The king, it seems, is preparing to define what in and out truly mean, once and for all. And the cost may be the final, shattered pieces of his relationship with his youngest son that we will be monitoring every whisper from the palace corridors, every nuance in every statement. Because this story is about to reach its climax. This is Royal Report 24/7. If you want to be the first to know when that official announcement drops, if you won,